Hello everybody, welcome back once again. I've got another Triangle Strategy character guide for you. This time we're talking Benedict. Benedict is, again, one of my favorite characters in the game. I absolutely love him, and it is rare for me to enter a battle and not have Benedict with. Benedict is honestly pretty overpowered. And I remember, like, early on in my playthrough, was thinking, what is going on with this guy? Why is he why has he got such good defense? And he really does. I mean, he's got 64 physical defense at level 50, and really solid magic defense as well. And then on top of that, he's crazy fast. Now, I do have, he's got an extra 6 speed, because I loaded him up with speed bracelets, but I think so he must have like a 28 speed rating without those. So he's crazy fast, really strong, like, defensively. I mean, this guy's got tank defense, except he's even better because he's got, good magic defense, whereas, Erador and Flanagan have garbage magic defense. So this guy can take hits. So I don't know, I love that about him. His strength isn't that great, but he's not like, he's not rocking mage strength, so at least he's going to be able to do a little bit of damage. His magic attack is terrible, though, so, not really going to be throwing out any, ice stones, fire stones, anything like that, right? You're just not going to do much with him. He does have insane luck, though, too, which I don't know. I don't really find to be all that interesting, but... and mostly because it's rare that he's actually swinging, right, and trying to get criticals on things. It happens sometimes, but I don't know, not that great, or not that important, maybe I should say. His accuracy is okay, which again, same deal though with the luck and the strength. It doesn't matter that much because I'm usually not swinging with him. The speed though, just one of the fastest characters in the game, pretty close to Quahog. Quahog, I think, has the #1 speed in the game, but pretty nuts. Bad evasion, though, but no big deal, because his physical defense and magic defense more than make up for it. And honestly, I would rather have, characters that were a little bit more like this, like really strong, physical and magic defense, as opposed to relying on the evasion, because also evasion, excuse me, is only good against physical attacks. So again, I would rather have that combo. But, whatever. If you can get good evasion, great. His jump is oddly weird and good. More jump than the average character. Most characters only have a jump rating of 2, but he's got a jump rating of 3. So, I don't know, kind of interesting. He's also got insane movement. That is definitely above average with 5 there. So again, for accessories, I love speed on him. He doesn't need, he doesn't need defense. He doesn't need magic defense. I don't think strength is worthwhile because, again, I don't swing with him much. He's a buffer, and that is what he should be doing. And if he's not doing that, you can throw out some items here and there, right? So again, I don't think that most of the other accessories are worth, using on him. But you really can just, boost up his speed. At this point in the game, he's so fast that there's some characters that he can throw out. So I usually do a 2-fold turn on somebody like Archibald, and then and sometimes I'll use a 2-fold turn on somebody like a Decimal. And he's so fast now at the end of the game that I actually had to be careful there in the last mental mock battle that I was doing, because he was throwing out a 2-fold turn, and then his turn was coming around before that character would get their turn. So I mean, he's literally lapping characters, and able to throw out another 2-fold turn. And so I need to give that to other characters, because otherwise it would be wasteful. Because unfortunately you can't stack a 2-fold turn. But again, just insanely fast. And Benedict at the end of the game anyway, and it's not really the case at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, he is really just to give pretty much your best damage dealer 2 turns, right? So it's like he's giving those characters his turn essentially. and I think that's great. I think it ends up working out really good. And again, because he's so defensive as well, so it's not like he can be on the front line, essentially kind of giving his turn to, again, your best damage dealer, which is likely going to be like a mage or like an Archibald, right? An archer of some sort. And so he can take the hits up front, and they can stay safe in the back and get, multiple turns. So I think it works out really, really well. At the beginning of the game, he does have Raging Beast. I did use that for quite some time, but really because that was all that was really available to him. But it says raise an ally's strength and magic attack for 3 turns. Now, again, at the beginning of the game, this is fantastic because everybody's stats are really, really low, and you'll really feel the difference in your attack. But towards the end of the game, because of the way stats scale, Raging Beast really falls off, and it ends up not being that great. But next up is Bulwark. So it says raise an ally's physical defense and magic defense for 3 turns. This is phenomenal, especially at the beginning of the game. Kind of same deal. At the end of the game, it kind of falls off as far as usefulness, and I basically don't use it anymore. But at the early game to the midpoint, I was using this all the time. For one thing, it's 1 TP, so you can cast this every turn, and then it lasts 3 turns. So you can actually buff a couple of different people and use this. So fantastic, fantastic ability. Next up is Bird of Prey. It's pretty rare that I actually use this. I just never really found it to be all that interesting, but it says raise an ally's movement and jump by 1 for 3 turns. There's certain levels where, like the Lord Landroy's Assault, where you start out at the bottom of the map, and unfortunately most of your characters aren't able to jump up to like the 2nd level. And so there, I suppose Bird of Prey may come in handy, but it's pretty rare for me to end up using that, right? I mean, otherwise, maybe if you've got the battle on lockdown, you've got everything kind of taken care of, and you're just running around trying to pick up spoils, like maybe that's a good thing then. But anyways, next up is Now. It says move an ally's turn directly after your own. That's a pretty solid ability as well, and I actually ended up using that a lot immediately after getting it. I mean, I still use it quite a bit, even at level 50, but basically this is great for, if you need to burst somebody. So let's just say, Archibald had 5 TP. He used his turn before Benedict to use an inescapable arrow, and then which would then put him at 2 TP. And then Benedict gets his turn. He can then use Now on Archibald to basically give Archibald his the turn right after Benedict, and burst somebody down. Like maybe there's a mage out in the middle of nowhere. So you could use kind of definitely like 2 inescapable arrows almost back to back, right? And so yeah, I think that this ability is phenomenal, and there's a QP that basically does the same thing. It's called In Tandem, which is one of the best QP abilities in the game as well. But the difference is you can only use that once, whereas Benedict can use this as many times as he wants in battle, as long as he's got the TP to cast it. Initial TP, this is just great. Grant 1 TP at the start of battle, so he just always has 1 more TP than everybody else when the battle starts. Almost nothing costs 4 TP other than his Dragon Shield, so technically you can use that right off the bat, but I usually never do, and I use it's either Now or 2-fold turn all the time. But yeah, extra TP is good. Next up is 2-fold turn. 2-fold turn is amazing, and once you get this, it's some combination of using Now and 2-fold turn at the end of the game. For me, it's rare that I use any of the initial abilities that he had, and also I don't really use Dragon Shield that much. As amazing as it is, there's certain battles where this is just so good. The battle with the Hierophant, or the few battles, well, maybe there's only 2 of them now that I think about it. But Dragon Shield can keep your characters safe, right? If somebody accidentally got to 3 TP, you can throw out a Dragon Shield and, oh, nope, denied. But yeah, so great ability as well. But anyways, yeah, 2-fold turn. So usually, 9 times out of 10, if I'm taking Decimal is almost always going to get 2-fold turn because of the way Decimal works and its ability to charge on its kind of like on its off turn, and so that can be amazing. But also I use that a lot on Archibald. So, you know, Archibald unfortunately won't be able to do 2 inescapable arrows because of the way that, you know, unfortunately, and I should point this out, the only downside of twofold turn is, so your character takes 1 turn, and or when their turn comes up, they restore their TP. And the way twofold turn will work is they'll take their turn, you know, their initial turn, and then they get a second, but it's more like a second action on that turn because they don't restore the TP for that second, you know, quote unquote turn. Yeah, because they're not really getting another turn, right? And in the turn is when you actually get the TP. So again, I guess you have to keep that in mind, but you definitely get the hang of that early on. Next up is Remain Calm. Grant immunity to Silence, Fury, and Temptation. I mean, phenomenal, especially that Temptation. I think Temptation is the most devastating skill in the game. And being able to just be completely immune to that with a passive is just, it's just nuts. It's probably the best passive in the game when it comes to like defensive passives. The only thing that really beats him is Decimal's, you know, immunity to everything. Unfortunately, though, it also comes with a inability to regenerate TP naturally. So Decimal's isn't probably quite as good, but this is nuts. It's really good. And then last up again is Dragon Shield. I already really went over this, but this is nuts. The only thing that, you know, it's not as good as, like, you know, Eredor's King Shield, because Eredor's King Shield lasts a full turn. He just has a full turn of immunity, right? Whereas the Dragon Shield is only one, it basically blocks 1 hit. So, you know, not quite as good. Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. It's nowhere near as good as, like, Eredor's immunity, but solid nonetheless. And you can actually hit 5 targets with this. So, you know, if you stack your characters up, this can be fantastic. But anyways, all right, let's get into this. Let's actually do some battling. So the first thing, actually, I've got that I wanted to show off here is, oh, here, actually, I have to start this. So let's do this. I wanted to show off his Now ability, and one of the really interesting uses for it. So Izana's got the Vanguard Scarf, and that's going to make her act first. And what I'm going to do here is just do a Battle Cry to restore her TP, or to get her TP all filled up. And then I'm going to use Rite of Thunderstorms. So it says, cast for 1 turn, dealing lightning elemental type magic damage to all enemies and have a chance to paralyze them for 1 turn. This isn't as good, apparently, as the, what version? The Switch version of this game. Apparently there was some crazy thing that you could do with Quahog, and this would be like 100% accurate, but that's not the case, unfortunately, anymore. But I just wanted to show you the kind of a cool combo that you can do. And so I hate charge moves, but Benedict is the kind of like the solution to those charge moves, right? And the idea is to just use Now, and so that'll make Izana essentially just finish charging here. And so, boom. Okay, yeah, and I mean, that ability is pretty bad, right? Because I think I only hit 2 enemies with that. Although that did paralyze that guy, so that's not so bad. But all right, so that was that. I'm actually going to retreat here. We'll restart this battle, and just because I want to show you a 2-fold turn and not have to, I don't know, deal with a bunch of enemies annihilating me. Boom, 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 for assault. Battle begins.
Very well.
Begin that battle. I'm just going to skip her turn, because I don't care.
There is no mercy.
Alright, so let's show a 2-fold turn here. Again, one of my favorite characters, well, actually, my favorite character is Archibald. I would do the, yeah, let's just do 2-fold turn on him. The other one is Decimal. Maybe I'll do that next. I did that for the, I did the my Archibald, or my Decimal character guide, and he's just so good. He's so freaking good. But all right, so let's do the combo here with Yulio, Archibald, and Benedict. So I'm actually gonna give. Actually, I don't need to do that. That's overkill. Let's just do Moment of Truth. So Archibald's going to get one more TP on his turn, so it actually doesn't do me any good to just use the Inheritor right off the bat, right? We'll actually buff, and... Oh, that's right, I forgot. I'm stupid. Since it's Archibald's first turn, he's actually not going to get the TP. So actually, I should have used Inheritor there. I think I did that the last time too. But so I'll use the Battle Cry, which again I would never do this because that's so wasteful. I would have just done that with Archibald. I'm sorry, I would have done Inheritor instead. So we'll do Inescapable Arrow. I'll actually just do this on the Battle Mage. One of the better ways to do this with Archibald as well is to just use the Critical Blow to drop the enemy down below half. Because if you can see here now, this enemy is actually slightly above half health, and so there's no way to trigger the I'm not triggering the potential instant death. So I'll show you the way to do this actually correctly. I apologize. I always forget that on the front. I don't know why. It's like it should be ingrained in my head now how many times I've done something like that. But your characters don't actually restore the TP on the initial turn. They start with 3 unless unless we're talking Benedict. Very well. Because he's got that passive. But all right, so let's do this. Let's do this correctly this time.
I shall try my level best.
So we'll do the twofold turn.
This will serve well.
And boom, boom, boom.
Let's play.
Let these guys take their turns. Poor Archibald.
I'll take it from here.
Gets Hawk Knighted to the face. All right, so again, now if I wanted to do this correctly, we use Inheritor on Archibald.
Will this work? Allow me.
Then we get the act again, and we'll do the Inescapable Arrow here on the Battle Mage. And then we use a Bow of Serenity, and then I'll use a in tandem.
I'll do my utmost.
Alright, Medina would actually work as well, because she's got what is this ability called? Yeah, fast acting medication. So that's kind of the same thing. But if you're not using Medina, right, you're gonna have to do something like a twofold turn. Let's just do a quick double items with her too, and we'll just restore some for these guys.
Here you go. I'm in your debt.
Actually, I gave one to him right there, but so now his turn is back up, and I can Inescapable Arrow again. Now it would be pointless, right, because this guy is so close. It would be better just to do a regular attack. But there you can kind of see the combos with him, and that's one of the best combos in my opinion with Benedict is Archibald, because for one thing, actually, Archibald, you could actually move him up on his first turn, and then Inescapable Arrow something out in the distance if you wanted, and then actually you end his turn there. Then just do a regular attack on that enemy, and then you can move him all the way back, right? It's kind of like a hit and run. Hit and run tactics are amazing for hard difficulty. But all right, so that's pretty much it. I would do the decimal combo, but if you want to see that combo, check my decimal specific guide, because it's amazing. And yeah, let's cancel this out. And we'll go over his weapon abilities and kind of like the order that I would recommend getting them. All right, let's find him. Here he is. Oh no, I'm in the wrong spot. No, I was right. What am I thinking? All right. So weapon rank 1. Potency I don't think is a priority at all for Benedict. It's really not a priority for most characters, but certainly not for Benedict. Same with the HP. I don't really think that an extra 10 HP is not real impressive, and most of the time isn't going to mean you survive or not. Whereas the physical and magic defense, I think that these are his best upgrades. And I would definitely prioritize them first. Probably the magic defense first, because his magic defense is just a little bit lower. So you can be a little bit more beefy when it comes to casters. Then I would go with the physical defense. Then he's got a strength upgrade, but it's kind of the same thing with the weapon damage. I don't really find that to be that great. And so as far as the third upgrade, I actually would go with the max HP. Then probably the weapon damage, then strength last. And then for his rank 2 stuff, I would start with the speed. I mean, that's just generally the case with everybody. I think that speed is the most important stat in the game. So I would definitely go with that. Next up, though, is either Raging Beast or Bulwark. And honestly, by the time you're getting into your rank 2 weapon stuff, you're probably going to be using Bulwark more often, if you're playing on hard mode anyway. And I think that that's the better upgrade of these two, certainly. It got to a point where I just wasn't even using Raging Beast anymore. I was basically just dishing out Bulwarks over and over because it's so cheap. But again, that's kind of my opinion anyway. Then I would probably go with the max HP, then Raging Beast effect, and then do your weapon potency upgrade last. For his final tier here, Bird of Prey duration +1. This might be the worst like weapon ability in the entire game. It's so rare that I think that Bird of Prey is useful, and so I don't recommend that at all. I think his speed is probably the top priority. You could make an argument though for Dragon Shield, and if you go with the speed first, you definitely want to go Dragon Shield second. But that's kind of personal preference. If you feel like you need the Dragon Shield, then buy that first, and then do the speed upgrade second, and then I guess do Bird of Prey last, and only if you've upgraded literally everybody else's. It's just so bad. But anyways, that is going to be it for Benedict. As always, I hope the guide was helpful, and thank you for watching.